Hey everyone, Board Game Brody here with Let's Table It, where we get games to the table. Like Gnome Hollow here by the Op, a tile placement, path building, worker placement, resource management game, again by the Op or the OP. Let me start off by saying that I really have enjoyed this game so much that I've even started playing a lot of it on Board Game Arena. It recently got added there, and I have been playing the heck out of this game. So the idea of the game is all about making rings or circles of mushrooms, and the game uses, these hexagon tiles with three main types of bends for the path or roads or whatever you want to call them. You got the tight bend, the slight bend, and then the straight. The tiles used in the game can have a mixture of 1 to 3 of these types of paths, with different mushrooms being shown on different tiles or on different mushroom paths on the same tile. You score points in the game by making mushroom rings of different sizes, by collecting unique flower tokens, and by selling your sets of mushroom to acquire certain treasures. So on your turn, you will need to first place down 2 tiles from the available tiles in the market. The tiles must be adjacent to the stump, which is the beginning tile, or next to another tile in the garden somewhere already. White mushroom paths must always connect with another path, and green grass edges must always line up with other green grass edges. If you place a tile that extends a ring claimed by another player's gnome, then you must obtain permission from that player to place the tile there, or you can't do it. The other side of the tile will have the mirror image to help you, so you can flip or do whatever you want to get your path where you need it. At times, you might also have tiles in your storage to place in addition to the 2 that you pick in the market, and that's a good strategy to use as well. You will want to choose paths which it makes sense to make, a loop, but also you will be choosing what resources you want to use in your loop or which mushrooms, so you hopefully can gather those. Both of these things will matter during the game. After placing your 2 tiles, if you formed a ring, you will, do 2 things. First, if you have a gnome on the ring, you will collect the mushrooms in the ring. If it's an unclaimed ring and it's completed with no gnome present, then the mushroom tokens are placed into the center of the ring instead, and now any player can go there and collect them later by using the gnome action to visit that ring. Second, since you completed a ring with a gnome or without a gnome, you will then move your leftmost ring marker on your player board to the column that matches the number of tiles that you used to make that ring. This will be a minimum of 3, but up to 7 or more. So you really don't want a huge ring because, more than 7 will just earn you more mushrooms that you put on it, but it won't give you anything more. It won't help you be more efficient when you're moving your ring marker. You will gain then the listed bonus of your choice, placing your ring marker in the column with the bonus of your choice. If there is no room, for another ring marker in that column, then you collect the mushrooms, but you do not move a ring marker to be put there. There's only limited space for each size of ring. Now let's go over these ring marker bonuses. This symbol here is add or use a signpost, or use a signpost already in the garden without moving your gnome. You will choose 1. If it hasn't been placed out in the garden yet, then you will place it out with by your completed ring and take its shown rewards. This is usually getting mushrooms or getting a tile. Once the signpost is placed out, then now any player can visit it for its listed bonus when they take their gnome action if they would like. This symbol is taking a tile and storing it beside your player board to use sometime in the future. You can only have 2 stored tiles at a time, including the wildflower tiles, which I will soon explain here. This icon is the flower token. Here you will add an available flower token, which is on the top of this board here. If there's none there, then there are none available at the time. And you will add it to your leftmost open space on top of your player board. Collecting these will give you more points, and the more you collect, the more points you're going to get at the end of the game. This last icon of a mushroom is to harvest additional mushrooms from the ring that you just completed. the bonus mushrooms you gain have to match the mushrooms from the ring that you completed, with each mushroom only being duplicated once each. Now, on some spaces that have 2 spots for ring markers, the 7+ columns, these do, when you select a bonus with these, you will move a total of 2 ring markers to that row instead of just the 1. Now, when you move your 2nd, your 4th, and your 6th ring marker, it will show a wildflower icon next to it. Then you will immediately receive a wildflower tile of your choice that are still available, and you will add one of the chosen wildflower tokens to your board. You will stack the remaining in the available flower space above the market for all others to gain at that time, and then you will gain the tile in your storage area to use sometime. The wildflower tiles are wild, and you can place them to help, on your turn. You can even use them to connect to other players' rings without their permission. These tiles always close rings using the shortest path possible, and they can border any tile in the garden regardless of edges. So you will be gaining these flower tokens and filling your board from left to right. You will gain the points shown beneath the rightmost at the end of the game. The last part of your turn will be to move your gnome. This is optional, but actions only occur when you move your gnome to, a different location. You have 2 gnomes total, and you will select one of them to move and trigger the action that you move it to. It cannot stay and take the same action as it was previously at. There are 4 actions available. You can claim a mushroom path. You will place your gnome on a path, and now no other gnome can claim that path. And they cannot add to your path except you give them permission to do so. You can visit the flower market. Your gnome is moved to the flower market at the top of the market board, and you will collect 1 available flower token that you have not already claimed, placing it in the leftmost position and giving you more points by doing so. You can move your gnome to visit a sign in the garden, gaining its listed reward shown on that sign that someone else put out in the garden. Lastly, you can visit the Pinwheel Market, located at the stump in the garden. Here you will be able to sell 2 sets of mushroom of different types. The board will list the number of mushrooms to make a sale for, and it will tell you the points that you gain for that number or of that type of mushroom as well. When selling and collecting those points, you will place a token on it indicating it's been used and it can't be used by anyone else again. At the end of the game, these mushrooms are not worth any points any longer, so you might want to visit this market to sell off some of your mushrooms at some point before the end of the game. The game continues in a clockwise directions with placing 2 tiles, gaining mushrooms for any completed rings, moving the ring markers if you completed a ring, and moving your gnome to take a bonus. When a player either places their 8th flower token or moves their 8th ring marker, or the bag runs out of tiles, then the game ends and you will finish the current round, and then each player will have 1 more final gnome action to take in the game, and then the game ends. Your score will then be calculated by how many flower tokens you have. You will look right under the rightmost flower token and score those points. The rightmost empty ring marker will score points listed above it, and then you will add your treasure that you gained by selling mushrooms at the market, and that is your final score. The gnome with the most points wins the game and claims the mayoral red cap token, and they win the game. And well, that's Gnome Hollow. It's a tile placement, worker placement game by the OP. You will build the board with the tiles as you play the game, and as you build your rings, you will, want to leave no opportunities for other players to capitalize on, things like placing some paths out that they can swoop in and start building their own little ring from. Or you can set up yourself by using a tile to claim both rings used on that tile. Throughout the game, you will be hunting for possible rings that will, you'll begin to work on and try to finish. But being a little flexible can also be helpful in this game, as sometimes you will want to use your gnomes to claim these rings, but then you have both gnomes, both claiming rings. You won't want to pull the gnome off the ring to give it to someone else if they claim it. So you won't be able to use your gnome action that turn. So you want to, plan well so that you aren't stuck not finishing a ring with both gnomes claiming rings each that you are working on. It's a planning game as well. You have those 4 gnome actions, and you will want to, somewhat plan those out to make sure that your gnomes are in a good spot where you can do the action that you want without the gnomes both being in a spot where, you want them to. Because you have to move the gnome so that you want to, maximize your mushrooms to visit the market before going to visit there to sell off there. You want to continue to get flowers to fill up the row, but there are only so many flowers available at certain times. So timing well to help you to know when, to get one and when to wait is important. Claiming rings is super important. That will move your ring markers for points to give you those wilds as you, get your 2nd, your 4th, and your 6th ring marker down. And you want to make sure that you use those wilds well and plan, when you will gain another wild, because you won't be able to, hold so many of them and you don't want to waste them. So the strategy is figuring out how to take your gnome actions. The luck part is, what tiles become available at what time, and sometimes being flexible to change your plan on, what ring you want to form, what size maybe you want to go for. The sharp bins are usually easier to get in the market, with the straights being the hardest and the wide bins, being the next hardest to collect. But then you also want to get ones with certain mushrooms on them. I always try to focus on one type, the blue, the pink, or the purple. Get a lot of those to get a better return in the market. Those are the mushrooms that will be exchanged, for more points. And when needed, you can place your ring marker on the spot to gain more of those if, the timing isn't right to get to the market. The components are top-notch in this game. The ring markers are actually magnetic. Well, really the player boards are magnetic, and it lets those markers, keep where they should without, sliding off. The signs are upgraded. They're not just cardboard, wooden gnomes as well. I like the art and the design for the points when you, deliver to the market and take those points. Those are really cute, and I like the art on them. Cute box art for making this a good family, advanced game. That usually is where, we like a lot of our games because we play with our kids. Really, there is a lot to like about in this game, and I have been playing a lot of this on Board Game Arena again, and being able to, find little ways to be more efficient as, with time, I'm playing with better players. The small mistakes that you make in this game, it can lose you the game. There are little things that you'll learn, and it's just fun to be able to do better. Again, fellow gnomes, this is Brody with Let's Table It, where we get games to the table, like Gnome Hollow here by the Op. Please like and subscribe to our channel. We are working hard to bring to you videos like this one, so you know if these games are ones that you want to get to your own table.